Hello and welcome to Member Stories. This is Trend Atelier's new series celebrating the creatives who dedicate themselves to the future and really looking at your work as well as what community means to you. So today I'm joined by Heidi Svendsen, who's joining us from South Africa, which is really exciting. And Heidi is a member of the Trend Atelier community, and she's also a fashion educator at one of the leading universities, schools in South Africa. So I guess I'll introduce you a bit, Heidi, but you describe yourself as extremely passionate about the future of fashion, retail, and the apparel industry, and you're a lecturer focused on student success, really. And we have a number of educators in the community, and so we feel very privileged to have you because your role is so important in society. But you were telling me that you believe that skills learned in tertiary education need to foster a human-centric, critical, and design thinking mindset, and that you really strive to equip your students with those skills that essentially will give them confidence, especially in such a challenging landscape that we have today that we were discussing earlier, to give them resilience and certainly you're in a different part of the world with its own benefits and challenges. But what I loved about how you described yourself when I asked you for your bio is that you really emphasized on empathy and being an integral part of fashion and building a better world. And that, like many of our community members, you're really looking for new perspectives and different ways to drive a better tomorrow. So I guess that's my intro for you. Welcome, Heidi, to the series. It's really wonderful to have you. And if I can ask you, as our first question, which I always ask our guests, is if you could tell us a little bit more about your work.
Sure. Thanks so much, Geraldine. This has been so incredible. It's been such a great journey with the twin community. I think, you covered a lot of the important aspects to what I believe in and what I sort of strive for. I've been working in fashion education for about 7 years. Before that, I worked in sort of various parts of the fashion industry. And yeah, I've been lecturing and creating content and, looking at ways in which to make education really relevant in South Africa and also make it relevant to our students, not just for what the skills that they need, but also looking at the kind of soft skills that they need, like building resilience, like you've said, and critical thinking, which I think is so important when it comes to moving into industry and building your own life. Yeah, so currently I lecture at an incredible institution called Stadio. It's the Stadio School of Fashion. And I am focusing at the moment on aspects of trend analysis and forecasting, but also I look at window display design, visual merchandising, and also looking at the store landscape of the future. I also think retail is so important. It's important to understand the whole customer journey, understand the relevance of the industry to our customers and kind of how does it link into a person's life. So kind of looking at the twofold of the industry, I think it's very necessary, and I think that's something that I resonate a lot in terms of your outlook and the community's outlook. It's always about looking at how things can be done differently, and also kind of having that growth mindset, looking at how things can be improved, looking at yourself, how can you do things differently or better. Yeah, so that's kind of me in a bit of a nutshell in terms of what I'm doing at the moment.
No, it seems very like a 360 vision where you're both very anchored in the practicalities of the industry, but obviously knowing that the context is really changing. So yeah,
Yeah.
bringing it back to, okay, so macro foresight and big picture thinking, but then the realities of the day to day and for a business or for a customer and what that might mean. And I find that that's probably one of the things I love the most about fashion is that it's actually so much about everyday life.
Exactly.
But I guess I've sort of approach that a bit, gave an overview in your introduction in terms of your values. But if you could tell us a bit more about your mission, because obviously in the community, I describe our members as mission-led forecasters or future, focused creatives. But can you tell us a bit more about what you feel your mission is?
Definitely, and I must say the involvement in this society and in this community has helped me with that mission. And really looking at what is my mission, what is my drive, and I think it's something that is constantly developing and changing, and definitely not something that is sort of static. But at the moment, I would say that my mission is definitely looking at inspiring. I definitely aim to inspire. And my mission for both myself and for my students and for the people that I engage with is to inform. I'm very interested in research. I believe in looking at what is around, observing, reading up, really understanding and immersing yourself in everything in research, and then from that to look at that understanding and to use that to inspire, whether that is inspiring future thinking or different ways of doing things, or even to just inspire confidence in yourself and in others. And so I think, yeah, currently my mission is definitely to inspire through information, but that is right now, and I think I'm curious to see where that's going to go and how that's going to be developed. And that's something that is very important to me. And it's also something that I've loved with being involved in this community.
Yeah, yeah, it's true that we look at our mission statement, but that's something that you're constantly changing. I mean,
Yeah.
even when I look at my website as a type of mission statement, I mean, that's like really evolved. We evolve, our skills grow, and we have a better understanding of where we fit into things. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, certainly with the things that you post in the community, they're always really interesting. So you've definitely achieved that mission on that front.
Thank
But
you.
I guess one thing that I always ask, because I always think it's really important, and I'm sure you understand that as someone who puts empathy at the center of what you do, but helping people understand that, we all have our challenges and we all have I guess that's the popular term, journey, in terms of how we get to where we are. But I was wondering, obviously you're teaching for a great university, and your focus is evolving and really intentional and great. But in terms of the challenges, what do you feel you've had to overcome to kind of get to the place you are today?
I also think that is so important to look at. And I think in terms of having a growth mindset, a lot of it is looking at your challenges and looking at how you overcome things and reflecting on that. And in terms of challenges, I think there's been quite a few over the last 2 years. But personally, for me, it's been about finding my voice, especially finding my voice with regards to a trend scope. I think I'm very confident in terms of the education space and facilitating. But on a personal note, when looking at finding my voice and finding my personal mission, that has definitely been something that has been kind of on my mind. And a lot of what the community with the Trend Atelier has put out has helped me to develop that voice and to have confidence within my voice and the way that I am kind of putting my thoughts together and looking at, creating that idea of where things are moving to and that direction. And so I think, yeah, that's been something that has been very important to me to find. And I think through the sort of that sense of community and looking at how other people, do things and how you do things, it's been so great for me to almost sort of create more clarity. And it's been really a beautiful experience for me to see my own voice and to kind of gain that confidence. And so that has been something that I really feel I am maybe not fully overcome, but a challenge that I feel like I'm really overcoming.
Yeah, that really resonates with me, because I know that, when I first started as an independent forecaster, things like private communities didn't really exist, And I had to seek out who I identified with, because obviously I wanted to be special and different, but also I just really wanted to when when you stumble upon something that really inspires you, that you really identify with, especially if it's another expert or group of people or project, it just adds fuel to your fire. It
Yeah,
just gives you more confidence to be like, yeah, this is something, I'm on the right track. Or and
definitely.
I totally get that. I still do that today. I totally have my sort of list of people that I'm like, wow, I want to be like you when I grow up,
Yeah,
kind of thing.
yeah,
Or
yeah.
certain types of communities that I'm like, I really identify with that, and it evolves as well. So
Mm,
it's
yeah,
really nice to hear. And I think confidence is something we all kind of try and define, especially that actually many of us in the community are women. And
yeah.
as women, we tend to sometimes not have the same level of just like, yeah, I'm great and this is what it is. But
Exactly. It's been hugely important to me, and I think the community has been honestly one of the most important things for me this year. And I think it's something that has really helped me to kind of open a pathway that I didn't necessarily think would be there. So it's kind of exposed me to new possibilities, and that's something that I am so grateful for, because I think it's kind of made me see multiple different possibilities for my own future. And so that has been an incredible gift. Just having that assurity, and just being able to be part of a community of incredibly strong people who are unafraid to show who they are and who put themselves out there. And so it's been really great. And, I'm really appreciative of the community and what it's meant to me this year.
uh, I'm really touched by what you said. And it goes both ways. Okay, so I founded the community, but to me, obviously the first stage is a community. People come and they see themselves as sort of members, but what's been great is gradually over the months since it's opened, people are sensing or experiencing more and more ownership of the
Mhm.
community, and it becoming something that gives me also a lot of joy, and sort of produces the kind of oxytocin or like happiness molecule when I see interesting things, especially when I see people interacting or posting things, or like you today saying those things. It means so much. And so yeah, I guess it's really great to know that somehow the community supports you. But I guess I'm rambling now, but what I'm trying to say is it goes both ways.
Yeah, no,
Uh,
it's great. I can feel it, and I think that's what we need. The world needs more of everyone building each other up. And if you can find people that resonate with you, and if you are lucky enough to be able to connect with people all over the world, then why not? And so I think this is just so incredible.
Yeah, thank you so much. I mean, the I guess in your work, I'm just curious, like, because I guess you are yourself leading a community of students and having to, moderate and handle their moods, especially at such a difficult time during the pandemic.
Yeah.
How has that helped you, maybe in your own work on a day-to-day in terms of inspiring leadership?
I mean, that's a really great question, because it is so important. And I think at the end of the day, when you're a lecturer and when you're a facilitator, you care a lot about people. You wouldn't be in that position if you didn't, and if you didn't care about the future. Because, if you think about young people in any country in the whole world, that is our future. And so for me, it's been a lot about looking not only at the, cognitive side of the skill building and learning information. It's also about building people up to believe in themselves. And I think it's been a huge focus for me, and my students know that at the end of the day, I care so much about them as people and as human beings. And there's a lot more to life than just looking at, grades, or just looking at getting to that end result or getting that degree. It's about the journey, and I think that's something I try to instill in them every day. It's about the journey. Think about your whole day, think about your whole week, think about your year. Don't just focus on the end result, because this is the best time of your life. In a way, every minute of your life is the best time of your life. So I think that's been something for me. It's worked to also make me super detail focused on what's happening around me, and also to look for the good, because there is so much good. And I think a lot of the time when there's so much going on in the world, it's easy to just sort of fall into focusing on negatives or focusing on things that might not work out. And we sometimes forget all of the amazing things that are actually happening around us, and the way that we are growing and developing. And even just relationship building with your community or with your fellow students. And so yeah, that's been something that I have really tried to instill with my students, and also having that growth mindset in a positive sense, thinking about where you're moving to. Yeah, and I think that's where that empathic teaching and learning comes in. I really believe in an empathic world. And that level of understanding, where is someone coming from? We're also different, and I always tell my students I can learn so much from them as well. I can learn from their perspectives, I can learn from the way that they see things, because we've all had different experiences, we see things differently. And so I'm very, very focused on community building, on sharing of information, sharing of insights, and also having differences of opinion. I think it's important to welcome that, and to also instill that in our youth, that it's okay to have a different opinion and to voice that opinion, and to work to really see what is the best solution for everyone. And yeah, so that's something that's been so important for me.
It makes me really want to attend one of your classes.
I'd love that.
It's great to hear, like, you've invested in in being a Trend Atelier community members for yourself, for your own
Yeah.
growth and development. But it's clear you're using that for others, and
Mm.
it's really great to hear about also how you're encouraging different viewpoints, and just everything you said is really inspiring. So I know that earlier we were talking a little bit about your plans for the future. We were telling
Yeah.
a little bit about, and so I guess I just wanted to end on you telling us more about what's next for you, and where we may be able to find you, and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I love that question when you asked that, and when I sort of started thinking about it. I think at this point, I'm really looking to create a bit of a trend platform in South Africa. So I'm looking to create a platform that looks at current events, and also looks at where things are moving, but also again to bring in that positive aspect, and to look how things can be innovated, and how things can sort of move in a positive direction based on what we know, and using the trend tools. Because I think there's been quite a misconception on the idea of trend. So a lot of people look at trend and think that it's something that just comes in and out, and they don't understand the gift that trend can actually give to various different aspects of industry, but also to community, and also just to understanding and plan, and look towards where things are moving. So yeah, that's kind of something that I'm really keen on starting. I want to create like sort of a website platform that is linked to Instagram, that highlights it specifically, making it relevant for South Africa. And it's called Now, which is a very popular saying in South Africa. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
I
Yeah,
have.
so yeah, it's kind of a, it's a very, it's quite a, it's like a funny, tongue-in-cheek sort of saying that a lot of international people don't understand, but if you're in South Africa, you completely understand what now means, and it's linked to time and space. And so, yeah, so that's, I'm hoping to start that early next year. So I've been working on it quite a bit. And then other than that, I am, again, creating a lot of content. I'm very focused on the future of education and looking at where education is moving so that it can still be something that is relevant and important, especially looking at online space, instructional design. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm looking and the direction I'm going into. I'm going to be doing a master's on retail, so looking at retail in South Africa. And so yeah, quite busy. So we'll see how things go. I tend to change my mind a lot, so that's kind of the plan, and we'll see how it goes.
Well, I mean, I'm a polymath, so I get the need to be able to do different things, and some people thrive doing that, some people don't.
Yeah,
I think it's a very personal way of doing things, but it sounds really exciting. Now it reminds me a bit of I spent a little bit of time in Tanzania, and there they say pole pole or
cool. Yes,
baadaye or things like,
yes,
there's always like a kind of saying around
yes,
time, like either, take it easy,
yes,
or in
exactly.
time, things will happen in time. Like I just love that relationship with time through these words.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. It's because at the end of the day, I think it's very linked to perspective. And that's why that sort of saying resonated with me for creating this platform and for highlighting things that are happening in South Africa and for making it relevant. Because for many years we've really just looked at the international landscape, which is important, but South Africa has a lot to offer, and we can drive our own trends and we can look at our own industry and we can also understand our consumers a lot better, in creating that incredible future that we are all looking towards.
Yeah, I think that is so important, that kind of local aspect as well.
Yeah.
And we're seeing it with different people in the community develop that. So that's really exciting. Well, it's been really great to have you, and I'm excited to see how things continue and evolve for you. It's I think starting from a place of education is always the best place, and certainly your view on the future and your experience, all of that combined can only bring this like amazing sort of cross-disciplinary aspect. So it sounds really exciting.
Thank you. And thank you so much for everything that you do with the community. And yeah, thank you so much. It's been an incredible journey for me. I've learned so much about myself and about the world. And yeah, so thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you. It's been great to have you. And so I'll add all of your info. You can find it below the post. And that's it for today. Thanks so much, Heidi, and we'll see
Thank you.
you in the community.